I want you all to remember this one phrase, yogi hai to yakin hai. I met Utsav, I don't know where we connected, but there was an instant chemistry. Somehow we found that we were on the same wavelength, and Utsav has been a much sought after guest on 𝗣𝗂𝘁𝘅's channel. He has done several interviews. In fact, the new initiative that makes the Sanatani count cross 10 million. He has started that, and we are going to grow with that. We are going to have more programs of that nature also. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sree Iyer, and I was a technocrat like most of you here. Done a few startups, few failures, some successes. And I don't know what happened in 2014, bug bit me, and I said, well, I've done all these things. Let me try and see if I can be a journalist. And out of the blue, I found that I could actually write good stuff. And from there, I've not looked back. Many of the scams that you see talked about in India first appeared in 𝗣𝗂𝘁𝘅s. You may be seeing me now as a video avatar, but the main fame for 𝗣𝗂𝘁𝑆.com came because we were reporting about a lot of scams. So having said all that, let's jump into today's topic, the need for voices and networking. Speakers said many things. I'm going to try and take it a little bit more, one step down into the diaspora now. What exactly are the things that we are doing? How can we network better? In one of my programs, a student guest, I asked him this question, hey, listen, we are having problems now where the Jewish students are getting ambushed. And you are next, because sometimes, they know that from looking at you, you are a Hindu. So what will you do if you are caught alone, like at 12 at night, coming back home from the library? He just didn't even blink an eye. He said, I would call the Jewish Student Association. Let that thing sink in. These university campuses doesn't really have a Hindu association that can actually cover them. And that's where we need to start. Many of us, we came here as immigrants, so we had our future, then our children's future. Somewhere along the line, we forgot that we were part of an ecosystem that made us to be what we are. And that is to understand what exactly is our culture, Sanatana Dharma. And this is the thing that I think we need to go back and reconnect. Because our children have no clue about how their last name can be interpreted as being of a particular caste. And they are just getting blindsided. So how do you start? How do you tell them that this is not what it is and this is what it is? So a few things that I want to touch upon along these lines. First of all, tell our children, and also all of us, we may have water cooler conversations, we may have dinner parties, we may have other places where we are going to be interacting with other Indian Americans. Somewhere along the line, the next 5 years, you're going to have a lot of turbulence where even a little thing will be played out of proportion and you will be always defending. But the first thing that we all need to do, be proud of being a Hindu. What you see me here, this is how I step out when I go to do my purchasing. Sometimes I even have tripund, and I say, this is who I am. And I wear something like this. Many of us, we are trying something, but it's being played down. I don't want us to play it down. Why? We are proud Hindus, and we have to make that message go across. Even when I'm interviewing congressmen and senators, I wear my vibhuti. This is who I am, and I am your constituent. You have to treat me like the way you are with others. So this thing has to sink in. Second thing I wanted to tell you all is, next, how do we tell our children? They will not listen to you just like that. I mean, if you start this as a dinner table conversation, it's not going to go. But there will be a day when they'll get blindsided by somebody trying to accuse them of something. Then they'll come and ask, what is this, by the way? And that's the time you need to be ready. And you have to be able to tell them what exactly is Sanatana Dharma. And many of us probably, I myself learned a lot by just doing this channel. Before that, I was, just another person who, Sanatani in a name only. So what is it? This is a thing that we need to tell our children. The first thing they get blindsided most of the time is, oh, you have million gods. And they make fun of you saying that. So just remember one word and three variations of that. Brahma, Brahman, and Parab Brahman. Three things. Brahma is the creator. Brahman is what is within you. And Parab Brahman is something above you. And the Parab Brahman is the God. In Hinduism, there's only one God, and that is Parab Brahman. Unfortunately, when the rishis visualized this, they knew what this was, but they had difficulty explaining to the common man how this God was. I'm talking about thousands of years ago. That's how you have Bhumi Puja. When a farmer wants to, plant a harvest, he first does puja to the Bhumi. If you are a dancer, you tell Bhudevi that I am going to stomp on you. Please excuse me for doing that. So we do all these things. This is how Sanatana Dharma evolved. And that's how you got all these different gods, murtis, whatever. But most important thing here is it is polymorphism of a single concept called Parab Brahman. This is the most important. It's easy for kids to understand if you tell them, look, this is all there is. And then they'll say, oh, but wait, they all have a single God, they have a single book. Then you ask them this question, okay, you saw this web series recently. This was inspired from this particular book. And did you read the book? No. But I saw the web series of that. Let's see. If you had read the book from front page to last page, it would have taken you 4 hours, right? But you are willing to binge watch it for 10 hours at a stretch, taking only bio breaks because it's compelling, right? Sanatana Dharma is exactly like that. You go to a temple, this is not just one murti. History woven around all the different things that you see in a temple. Don't just go there, I have to do my puja, I'm done, and then you leave. Almost always we are told, spend some time in the temple. Look at all the different carvings outside. What do they mean? What do they symbolize? Any new temple you go, especially when you're visiting India, any temple you go, find out the Sthala Puran. That means what is the reason for this temple to exist? And there is a story there. I mean, we can go back and say when Ramayana happened. 5114 was BCE, was the year Rama was born. We have proof for that. When was Mahabharata war fought? 3102 BCE. And that is when Kali Yuga starts. The British completely messed us up. How did this happen? I'm going to ask you a question. Let me see how many of you know the answer. Now, Hinduism is almost universally portrayed as being of, blood drinking or Nataraja dancing over a baby and things of that nature. Can any one of you guess the root of all this stuff? Where this narrative discourse started? Anyone? 1817. The name of the book is The History of British India. This was written by a guy called James Mill. He was a Scottish guy. It is a 3-volume book. Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3. He wrote all this living in England. He never set foot on India. That is the core driver, because this guy was in cahoots with another guy who we all know, Lord Macaulay. He was Macaulay's caddy, if you think of golf game. These two were the ones who basically showed what Hinduism was in their eyes to the world. And there's a new book that Dr. Kundan Singh and Krishna Maheshwari have come out with, and this is a wonderful book that is available actually for free download. And I'm going to just read you the book. Just give me 1 second. Colonial Discourse and the Suffering of Indian American Children. Very directly addressing some of the things that Dr. Kundan Singh and Krishna Maheshwari saw when they were arguing for changes in the syllabus of what the children are being taught. So one thing we all know, right? What happens in California today, over the next 5 years, it happens to the rest of the country. So when we take up issues like making sure that the portrayal of Hinduism is correct here, if you do it right here, the rest of America will also get the same thing. So please do read that book. And next thing that we can tell our children is, what else was India good at? What else was India good at? How many of you know that Emperor Ashoka, before he became the emperor and known for all his conquests and other things, how many of you know that he was the governor of 𝙒𝙪𝙤𝘀𝘀, this province? And you know what he did? He was the first one to essentially formalize scripts. He said that there were variations. There was Sanskrit, that was the language, and Sanskrit was derived from Prakrit by Panini about 300 years before him. 520 BC is the date that is given for Panini. So Sanskrit, the meaning is, Sanskrit is refined language. So Prakrit was the original one. They took that and they refined it, and he has one simple 𝗤𝙧𝙤𝙪, 8 chapters, 3,996 rules in 8 chapters. So let's just round it off. 4,000, 8 chapters, 50 rules. And in that he has completely encapsulated how a language should be constructed. Now what happens is, Ashoka comes in after 300 years, then he formalized the script so that you could start using it universally. He had 2 scripts in mind. One that went from left to right, and the other one that went from right to left. So today, the community that loves to hate us, they got their language from us. They got their script from us. It's called 𝗏𝗏, right to left. Whether it is Hebrew, whether it is Arabic, whether it is Urdu, whether any of these right to left languages, the origin goes back to 𝗏𝗏. And for all the languages that are east of 𝙒𝙪𝙀𝘀𝘀, like for example, Nagari became Devanagari, Odissi, Tamil, Telugu, Sanskrit, Malayalam, all the way down to Khmer in Kampuchea. Everything is right to left, and that the forerunner of that is Brahmi. And you might ask, how come we have so many different languages? The reason for that was, once Brahmi got formalized, you knew how to write. Then where would you write? Paper was not there. So you had to depend on leaves, palm leaves, some other leaves. So some of the properties of these leaves were such that you couldn't write straight lines. You had to write them in a curved manner. That's why, especially in the southern part of India, every language has a lot of curves. In fact, in Tamil, they describe Malayalam as 𝗏𝙬𝙤𝙬. That means a language which has a lot of curves. So some things like this our children should know. Because once they know that thing, then you can tell them, look, this is where everything started. This is where civilization started. Before you were a Christian, you were a Sanatani. Before you were a Muslim, you are a Sanatani. This is what it is, and this is who we are. And be proud, and make sure that you also tell them to read 2 classics. That's all they need to know, because for their life lessons, these 2 classics cover it, Ramayana and Mahabharata. You read those 2 things, you're set. I hope this message goes to all of our parents, and this, of course, I'm hoping to have this thing video cast on eGurus, that the whole world understands this. And also, viewers, many of you will go for fundraisers. It is not enough to just donate and have your picture taken with a congressman / senator / presidential nominee. There is a certain amount that you can donate a small part, but along with your picture, give them 3 things that you would want them to address. Okay, the fact that you're not paying the whole thing puts them on the hook. They know you're not going to give the remaining part until you get what you want. Demand this. We need this thing. By the way, things are going to get even more interesting. Sundar, are you still here? Yeah. The lieutenant governor that is going to be succeeding Gavin Newsom, because we are a democratic state, is a hand-picked George Soros appointee. God save us. But we are going to be there for the fight. Sundar and I and Yogi and every one of us, Dr. Japra, we are going to take this fight, and we are going to fight the good fight. So thank you very much.